Bitter melon can grow a vine more than 12 feet long, yet still give you no fruit if you miss two crucial steps: training the vine early and getting the female flowers pollinated. Hi, I'm May from May's Chinese Garden. Let's take one hard seed, grow it vertically, and follow it all the way to the first harvest. Bitter melon is also called bitter gourd. It is a heat-loving member of the cucumber and squash family, but it grows much more vigorously than many new gardeners expect. That vigorous growth is exactly why we are growing it vertically. A strong trellis keeps the vine organized, improves airflow, makes the flowers easier to inspect, and keeps the developing fruit away from wet soil. But the trellis needs to be ready before the vine starts racing upwards. We will come back to that in a moment. First, choose the right seed for your garden. There are two broad types you will commonly see. Chinese bitter melon is usually longer, broader, and light green with smoother rounded ridges. Indian bitter melon is usually smaller, darker, and more pointed with a rougher surface. Neither type is automatically better. Choose according to the flavor and shape you want, the length of your warm season, and the space available on your trellis. Read the seed packet carefully. Maturity estimates often fall somewhere around 50 to 70 days, but that number is only a guide. Cool nights, transplant stress, variety, and poor pollination can all delay the first useful fruit. If your summer is short, choose an early maturing variety and begin indoors about 4 weeks before it is safe to plant outside. If your growing season is long and consistently warm, you can sow directly where the vine will grow. Now look closely at the seed. Bitter melon seeds have a thick, hard coat. This is one reason germination can be slow and uneven. Soak the seeds in clean water overnight or for up to about 24 hours before sowing. Some growers also file one edge of the seed very lightly. If you do this, remove only a tiny amount of the outer coat. Do not cut deeply into the seed because damaging the embryo will prevent germination rather than improve it. Soaking alone is the safer method for a beginner. Use a small individual pot for each seed if you are starting indoors. Bitter melon does not benefit from having its roots repeatedly disturbed, so an individual pot makes transplanting easier. Fill it with a clean, free-draining seed starting mix. Plant the seed approximately half an inch to 1 inch deep, following the packet if it gives a specific depth. Cover it, water gently, and allow the extra water to drain. Warmth is essential now. The seeds need warm, moist conditions, and the University of Florida gives a germination range of approximately 60 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 16 to 35 degrees Celsius. In practice, keeping the mix steadily warm, around 75 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 to 29 Celsius, usually gives the seed a much better start than leaving it on a cold windowsill. Keep the mix damp but never saturated. A hard seed in cold waterlogged compost may rot before it ever opens. Do not assume the seed has failed after 4 or 5 days. Bitter melon can take its time. Check the temperature and moisture before digging through the pot. Once a seedling appears, give it strong light immediately. Weak indoor light produces a long, thin stem that struggles when it is moved outside. Keep the seedling warm and turn the pot if it leans towards the window. When it has established true leaves and outdoor conditions are suitable, begin hardening it off. Hardening off means introducing the seedling gradually to outdoor sun, wind, and temperature changes. Start with a short period in a sheltered position, then increase the time and exposure over roughly a week. Do not move a warm-grown seedling directly into a cold, windy garden for an entire day. That sudden change can stop its growth just when the season needs to begin. Plant outside only after frost danger has passed and the weather has become reliably warm. Bitter melon is frost-tender. In a cool climate, choose the warmest sunny place you have. A south-facing wall, greenhouse, polytunnel, or protected patio can give the vine the extra heat it needs. In a hot climate, full sun is still valuable, but steady moisture becomes more important. The goal is strong light and warmth without repeatedly drying the roots. If you're planting in the ground, use fertile, well-drained soil improved with compost. Avoid any place where rainwater stands around the roots. If you're growing in a container, give one vine a large pot rather than crowding several vines into a small bucket. A container of at least 10 gallons is a sensible starting point, and a larger one will hold moisture more steadily. Make sure it has generous drainage holes and fill it with quality potting mix rather than heavy garden soil. The exact container size is not a magic number. The important point is that a vine capable of growing 12 to 16 feet needs enough root volume, water, and support to sustain that growth. Now build the support. A mature bitter melon vine can become heavy with leaves, side shoots, and fruit. A few thin canes pushed loosely into the soil are rarely enough. Use a trellis approximately 6 feet tall with strong netting, wire mesh, horizontal cords, or another surface the tendrils can grip. Secure it against wind before planting. If the vine is in a pot, anchor the trellis independently or use a structure with a wide, stable base so the full container cannot topple. Do not attach a heavy trellis after the roots have filled the pot. Pushing stakes through an established root system can cause unnecessary damage. Place the plant at the base of the support. If you started it indoors, slide the root ball out carefully and plant it at approximately the same depth it was growing before. Water thoroughly to settle the mix around the roots. For plants in the ground, allow generous space. Commercial guidance may use roughly 3 to 5 feet between plants because the vines branch heavily. In a small garden, you can guide growth across a broad trellis, but squeezing several plants onto one narrow panel creates a dense wall that is harder to water, inspect, and keep healthy. One well-grown vine is more useful than 3 starved vines fighting for the same light. During the first stage of growth, your priorities are simple: warmth, sunlight, even moisture, and a clear path to the trellis. When the plant has around 4 to 6 leaves, it begins producing tendrils. Gently direct the leading shoot towards the support. If necessary, tie it loosely with a soft plant tie, leaving room for the stem to thicken. Never use thin wire or pull the stem tightly against the frame. The tie is only there until the tendrils take hold. Check the vine every few days. Guide wandering shoots sideways and upwards so the foliage spreads across the trellis instead of forming one tangled bundle. You do not need to twist every tendril by hand or aggressively prune a young plant. First, let it establish enough leaves to power its growth. Remove only broken, diseased, or badly congested growth, unless your variety supplier gives a more specific pruning system. Water deeply enough to moisten the entire root area, then let excess water drain. In a container, check the mix frequently because a large leafy vine can use water quickly in hot or windy weather. Do not follow a rigid schedule such as 1 cup every day. Feel the mix. When the surface begins to dry, water slowly and thoroughly. The root zone should remain consistently moist without staying waterlogged. A layer of clean organic mulch can reduce moisture loss in the ground or a large container, but keep it slightly away from the main stem. Feed according to the fertility already present in your soil or potting mix. Compost and a balanced vegetable fertilizer can support the early plant, but more fertilizer does not automatically mean more fruit. Repeated heavy nitrogen feeding can produce a magnificent curtain of leaves while flowering and fruiting lag behind. Follow the product label and judge the plant rather than feeding it every time you water. Now we reach the stage that confuses many first-time growers: flowering. The first flowers may appear roughly 4 weeks after sowing in very warm conditions, although cooler climates can take longer. The first blooms are often male, so do not panic when they fall without producing fruit. Male and female flowers are separate, but they grow on the same plant. The easiest way to identify them is to look behind the petals. A male flower sits on a thin, plain stem. A female flower has a tiny bitter melon directly behind it. It already looks like a miniature warty fruit before the flower opens. That tiny fruit is only a possibility. It will begin enlarging after successful pollination. If pollination fails, it may yellow, shrivel, and drop. Outdoors, bees and other insects normally move pollen from male flowers to female flowers. Avoid blocking their access once flowers open and avoid unnecessary insecticide use, especially while pollinators are active. In a greenhouse, screened balcony, or garden with few insects, hand pollination can make the difference between a leafy vine and an actual harvest. Do it during the morning or daytime while fresh flowers are open. Choose an open male flower and remove it from the vine. Peel the petals back carefully to expose the pollen-bearing center. Then touch and roll that center against the stigma inside an open female flower. You can also move the pollen with a small, clean, dry artist's brush. Use pollen from a freshly opened male flower and coat the center of the female flower gently. Then leave the flower alone. Do not spray it immediately with water. Within the next several days, the result becomes clear. A pollinated miniature fruit stays green and begins lengthening. An unsuccessful one stops growing, turns pale or yellow, and eventually drops. Do not blame every dropped female flower on a lack of pollen. Severe heat, cold, drought, root stress, or a weak young plant can also cause fruit to abort. That is why steady care still matters after hand pollination. As the fruit develops, keep guiding new vines over open parts of the trellis. Remove damaged leaves and inspect both sides of the foliage. Bitter melon can face many of the same problems as cucumbers and other cucurbits, including cucumber beetles, aphids, mites, fruit flies in some regions, and powdery or downy mildew. Do not treat a guest problem. Identify the pest or disease first. Use physical controls when practical, and follow local guidance and the complete label for anything approved on an edible crop. Airflow, clean watering practices, crop rotation, and removing badly diseased material can prevent a small problem from spreading through the entire trellis. Avoid soaking the leaves late in the evening, water the root zone where possible, and give wet foliage time to dry. Now the first fruit may grow faster than you expect. This creates the final important decision. When should you pick it? Bitter melon is normally harvested immature for cooking. Do not wait for it to become fully ripe like a sweet melon. Start with the expected size and color of your particular variety. A Chinese type may be much longer and paler than an Indian type, so one universal measurement will mislead you. The fruit should feel firm and look fully formed with its ridges or bumps clearly developed. Its skin should still be green or light green and should not yet be soft. Watch closely for the first yellow or orange change. That color means the fruit is moving beyond the normal green culinary stage. It will soften, the seed coverings inside can turn red, and an overripe fruit may split open. The exact number of days is less reliable than the fruit itself. Some varieties can begin producing harvestable fruit around 50 days from sowing in warm conditions. Others need 70 days or longer. Once fruit begins swelling, inspect it every day. When it reaches the correct size and remains firm and green, cut the stem with clean scissors or pruners. Do not wrench the fruit from the vine and damage the shoot that may carry later flowers. Harvest frequently. Allowing every fruit to progress towards full seed maturity can slow the production of new fruit, while regular picking encourages you to keep noticing flowers and young fruit at the correct stage. Use the harvested fruit within a few days for the best quality. Wash it, cut it lengthwise, and remove the central pith and seeds before cooking. The flesh can then be sliced for stir-fries, soups, egg dishes, or another properly tested recipe. Bitter melon is supposed to taste bitter. Salting, blanching, or combining it with strongly flavored ingredients can soften that bitterness, but it will not turn it into a sweet vegetable. Do not make medical claims about the harvest or use concentrated bitter melon products as a substitute for professional care. This channel is teaching you how to grow a culinary vegetable, not prescribing a treatment. So from seed to first harvest, the whole method comes down to 7 decisions. Choose a variety that can mature during your warm season. Soak the hard seed and germinate it in warm, evenly moist mix. Move it outside only after frost and cold conditions have passed. Give one vigorous vine, fertile, well-drained soil, or a genuinely large container. Install a strong 6-foot trellis before the vine takes over. Learn the difference between a plain-stemmed male flower and a female flower with a miniature fruit behind it. Then hand-pollinate if insects are not doing the job. And finally, harvest the fruit while it is full-sized for its variety, firm and still green, before yellow or orange color tells you it has gone too far. If your vine has plenty of flowers but no fruit, look at the flowers tomorrow morning. Finding one female bloom and pollinating it correctly may be the moment your entire harvest changes. Tell me in the comments whether you're growing the long Chinese type or the smaller Indian type, and subscribe, because next time we'll grow garlic chives once and learn how to keep harvesting them for years.